Welcome, Rotarians and guests to the Rotary Club of York, where our mission is to improve life in the city of York by connecting our club's diverse community leaders through fellowship, action, and service. I am your president, Courtney Piccolo, and as you know, we start off all of our meetings by reciting the four-way test. If you would please join me. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Today, our opening song, America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, and the pledge will be led by Jennifer Seal, followed by the invocation with past President Glenn Miller and visitor introductions by Madeline Torres Acasio.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Please join me. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. Beautiful. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon, friends. Please prepare yourselves for prayer in the manner in which you are accustomed. Lord of all hopefulness, Lord of all joy, as we move into the warm and welcoming days of summer, we pause to give thanks for this annual gift from your hand. The warmth of these days is a reminder of that warmth of spirit and love that we enjoy from you and from our brothers and sisters in this club, and from our families and our friends. We are grateful today as well for the joy that is brought into the world by those gifted with talent and passion in the visual arts, and particularly for our speaker as he shares his story with us. Blessed are the artists who bring us beauty and joy, often in the midst of what may feel like an ugly and dark world. Bless our time together, the food that has nourished our bodies, the hands that have prepared it, and the fellowship that nourishes our souls. To you, the one God of many names, we pray. Amen.
Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to have the honor of introducing our guest for today's meeting. When I call your name, please stand and remain standing until President Courtney has welcomed you. John Bailey, he is visiting from the Hanover Club. Jane Bailey, guest of President Courtney. Dominic Piccolo, guest of the President Courtney. Gio Piccolo, guest of President Courtney. I guess he was brought. Elizabeth Miller, guest of the past President Androck. Bob Ruby, guest of the past President Androck. Ophelia Chambliss, guest of Kelly Gibson. Angela Adler, guest of Amy Brillinger. And Joseph Young, guest of Frank Contest. Kina Minfield, guest of Andy Lynch. Christina Ruby, guest of our speaker. Kyle Ruby, guest of our speaker. We have a lot of people. That's great. Catherine Carrillo, guest of our speaker. Sarah Melinsky, guest of Dylan Bauer. And Tony Fetro, guest of our speaker. Welcome.
Special welcome to our visitors. I hope you were all enjoying a wonderful lunch, engaging fellowship, with outstanding community leaders and a program that both informs and inspires you. We're truly grateful to have you here with us all today, especially my family in the back. Thank you for being here. Rotarians, let's give all of our guests another warm welcome. And now for some announcements. Our club's board of directors will meet tomorrow at 8 a.m. on Zoom. The membership engagement committee will meet on Tuesday, June 17th at 4 p.m. And if you take a look at the slide, you will see here some upcoming summer events planned by our membership engagement committee. You'll also find handouts on your tables with a QR code that you can scan to sign up for these events, or you can open Club Runner from your phone and just go to the calendar and sign up. A lot of these events do have limited space, so if you are interested in attending, I would recommend that you sign up as soon as possible. And a special shout out to George Hummel, who is listening from home. He is currently recovering from back surgery, so if you could keep him in your thoughts. George Hummel, hello from home. And now I invite our club's fabulous executive director, Lynn Morrison, to the podium for a student education announcement.
Thank you, Courtney. I will tell you that we already have about 30 people signed up for the Rotary Means Business, so don't be left out. That's going to be a great event, so make sure you sign up for that. It's my pleasure to invite past President Glenn Miller to find his way up to the podium. He knows why, but let me tell you why. Several years ago, our York Rotary Foundation Board of Directors voted to change our Whiteley student loan program to a scholarship, and they dedicated that scholarship to the YCOSP program at York College. YCOSP stands for the York College Community Opportunity Scholarship Program. We've had speakers come and talk to us about YCOSP in the past. Remember that this is a scholarship that is dedicated to students at William Penn High School, and it gives them an opportunity to students who might otherwise not be able to go to college. And targets scholars who have the potential and the motivation to perform at York College, but perhaps do not have the ability to pay for this because of economic and educational circumstances. It provides scholars with support while they're in high school to get them ready for their experience at York College, which I think is the scaffold that makes this such a successful program. It also provides for the students full tuition and full room and board for the time they're enrolled at York College. The YURF board recognized that supporting this program that was already so successful in our community was a great way for us to provide support to the city students that follows along with our mission and our focus. The YURF board made an initial 5-year commitment of a $15,000 scholarship to the YCOSP program. This is going to be our 3rd year that we have supported this program. Glenn, I'd like you to join me up here. It is my honor to present this check, and Courtney's going to bring the giant check, to past President Glenn Miller. He's not here as our past president today, but rather as the vice president of advancement for York College. So he's accepting this on behalf of the YCOSP program for this 25-26 school year.
Well, Lynn did a great job of summarizing both the YCOS program, and I know I'm biased, but the remarkable link, I think, between the mission of that program and the reinvigorated mission of this club regarding the city of York and its youth. I can't thank you enough. The college can't thank you enough. $15,000 a year is a really significant chunk of a full tuition room and board and fee program, which is what YCOSP is. And it's a remarkably successful program. You've had Rita Marie Trippett here a number of times to speak about it. So thank you for recognizing that program and the support and for the partnership between the club and the college. Thank you very much. Much easier to take with me.
And the next person who is coming up to the podium was a surprise to me until I arrived here today and saw my mom, my dad, my husband, and my baby here. I did not know they were coming. And Lynn handed me a new agenda and said, here, read this. So at this time, I now invite, per my instructions from Lynn on this agenda, my father, John Bailey, who is a Rotarian at the Hanover Rotary Club, to the podium for some sort of surprise announcement. So, John? Oh, and my husband, and my baby.
Good afternoon, everybody. And Lynn, thank you. Okay. I know Courtney absolutely hates surprises. Okay. So she did find out a couple minutes before the meeting, so she wasn't actually surprised when we walked in the door. But, Dominic was able to take off work today. He works for the military at Fort Indian Town Gap, serving our country, which we really appreciate. But one thing the Bailey family has done through history with both my parents were Paul Harris Fellows. I'm a Paul Harris Fellow. I made Courtney a Paul Harris Fellow, and grandchildren also. So it gives me great pride today to present a Paul Harris Fellowship to Gio William Piccolo, our latest grandson. So, and if you can maybe hold him up, Dominic, he has on his little Rotary shirt that Courtney got done, and it says Future Rotarian on there. Okay. And pardon me? He'll be a fourth generation Rotarian. So congratulations, Courtney. Congratulations, Gio. Jane, thank you. And that's it. Thank you.
Don't know if anybody ever kissed on the podium before, but that just happened. I'm mostly impressed that I didn't know that they were coming and that the Rotary shirt, my husband found Gio's Rotary shirt. It was actually my daughter Lucy's Rotary shirt because she's also a fourth generation Rotarian. But now that we have a second child, I'm mostly impressed that he was able to find the clothing item that says Rotary on it in his closet. So another round of applause for that. Okay, hopefully no more surprises today. At this time, I would like to invite John Yates, chair of our club's Youth Exchange Committee, to present to you a committee spotlight so that he can share awareness of what the Youth Exchange Committee does, as well as give details on how the committee ties into our club's mission statement and strategic plan. So John, take it away.
Thank you, Courtney. And Gio is still a little too young for Youth Exchange, but pay attention. So I thought I would start with a little Youth Exchange trivia. So the question I have for everybody is, do you have any idea who the outbound Youth Exchange student was back in 1967? And he's right up there. And he's right up here. I went to Sweden back in 1967 as part of my youth exchange experience, and it was a fantastic experience. So let's fast forward to today. And we have two current outbound students. We have Aya Klein on the left. She is in Brazil. And we have Gabby Philippe, who is on the right, and she is with a Rotary exchange friend of hers over in Italy. Gabby's the one on the left. And they are going to be returning here in July. And they will be our program on September the 24th when you all get to learn about their respective experiences. We have a future outbound exchange student in Scarlett Barshinger. And Scarlett will be here on July 30th to give you a short introduction about herself, where she's going, and what she expects to get out of the program. We have one inbound that many of you have seen and gotten to know a little bit of, Memorial. Memorial is currently on his 2-week trip out west, and rumor has it that he is right now on the rim of the Grand Canyon. So, and he's had a fantastic experience. And we are going to have a future inbound who arrives in the middle of August, a Joaquin Agrita. He's going to attend York Suburban High School. And we have a request. We still need host families for Joaquin. So if you know of anybody who lives in the York Suburban School District who you think would make a good host family, please let us know and we'll contact them. And if you live in the district and you'd like to do it, just talk to us and we'll make it happen. One of the things that we've been doing this year is trying to refocus our efforts to sync with our club. And so that means focusing on the city of York and focusing on its student residents. We checked with the schools located in the city, and only one is interested in an exchange program, and that is William Penn and York High. They're very interested in our outbound program, but they cannot at this point accept any inbound students. And one of the challenges with that is that Rotary Youth Exchange requires that if you don't host, then you can't send anybody out. So we are going to continue to work with York Suburban, which we've worked with for many years and have a very good relationship with. And we have worked well with over the years, and that's where Joaquin will be. We also have had a series of meetings with people in York High and then the student counselors there. And we believe we're getting close to being able to sit down and talk with interested students from York High who want to go out. So we're making progress, and that's a really good feeling. We also have been challenged to work with any other club in York County who is interested in doing a youth exchange program. So Courtney, when she attended one of her monthly president's meetings, talked to them, and two have stepped up with an interest: the Dallastown Red Line Club and the York East Club. We've begun to work with the Dallastown Red Line Club, and we will start shortly to work with the York East Club. Both believe, and we believe, that this is going to be at a minimum a 2 to 3 year effort. So we're up for it, and they're up for it so far, so that's great. So finally, I'd like to make an offer. If any of you are interested at all in joining Youth Exchange, please join us. As you can tell, we have a lot of fun meeting these kids, and working with these kids is great. And finally, we need host families. So always think of us when you think of someone you think would make a good host family. So thank you.
Thank you very much, John. And now I invite past President Ann Druck to the podium to introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, President Courtney. Fellow Rotarians and guests, I have been a member of our club for 25 years. Today is the first day that I have the honor to introduce a family member. And thanks to centuries of our Ruby family ancestors, my cousin, Justin Ruby, is a 10th generation York County native. And I believe you will be inspired and informed at his journey, his creative expertise, his entrepreneurial spirit, and his acclaim at a young age as a uniquely talented artist. As most successful artists have, Justin has an entourage with him today, many friends and family members, including his father, Bob, my cousin. Bob shared with me a story when he first realized Justin's raw talent. And there was a chalk art drawing of most kids' favorite dog, Scooby-Doo. And Bob was so impressed with this that he asked Justin if he had traced it, and he had not. It was a freehand masterpiece. So as past President Glenn said, the gift of art is a gift. That raw talent is a gift. Honing that talent, learning the business of the art world, declining a full ride scholarship to go all in on your passion, that is priceless and something we can all admire. Creating his legacy has been an interesting journey for Justin. He is a self-taught artist known for his intricate mosaics made from deconstructed sneakers, car upholstery, and designer luggage. After his Scooby-Doo chalk art, his artistic journey began in the basement of a row home right here in our city. There was only one way to go from there, and up he went. His international exhibits include New York and London, with notable shows at the State Museum of Pennsylvania and the New York Stock Exchange. His work examines how materials shape our sense of self, status, and belonging. Collectors of Justin's work include Iron Mike Tyson, music mogul Jay Prince, and NBA star Mason Plumlee. In December of 2023, Slam magazine reported the following: Justin is widely known in the art world and recognized for his unique style of cutting up luxury items and retro Jordans, piecing them together in collages mixed with paint and other mediums. He went from selling his first piece of art for $150 and now has pieces that sell upwards of $15,000. For those looking to invest in something besides material items, stock, cars, etc., Rest assured that investing in a Ruby piece is a safe bet, but money isn't his motive. His contributions to the fabric of the world are much more heart-driven. For our native son, talented young man, and accomplished artist, please give a warm Rotary welcome to Justin Ruby.
All right, this is like my first time talking into a microphone. Thank you, Anne. I was hearing some of that stuff and I was like, who are you describing? I think I mean we saw today a family come up here and present an award, and Anne talked about family, and before I got into the art I wanted to mention how important that is in making a successful career of any kind, let alone art. And I've talked to a lot of people who want to be artists and people who are artists, and they say, you know, I've had my dad or my mom has said, you got to do something that makes money. You got to do something that will provide for your family. And I never heard that from anybody in my family. So, you know, thank you. You know, I had like, my mom has driven me across the country at a moment's notice to tour a college, or my dad will drive me to the airport at 4 a.m., you know, to do a last minute trip to Los Angeles, or I'll have some crazy scheme that I thought of and my brother will drop everything we're doing and bring it to life. And a girlfriend who puts off a year of work to make a gallery, and just anything I can think of, and an uncle who will send money when I want to participate in a summer program in Chicago. So yeah, I think when you have like a great career, it's easy to, you know, pat one person on the back. But I really couldn't have done any of this crazy stuff without them. But into the artwork, my first slide is a picture when I was a kid. A lot of people ask, when did you start? Pretty much as soon as I could pick up a marker or a pencil. So that's a photo of our first house in West York. Obviously, my art has advanced a little bit since then. Here is a photo of my grandfather. He had a barber shop in Manchester, and he was actually the first person to ever put my art on a wall and display it. I think I think showing your art as an artist is like is one of the most important things, and I think a lot of people will say you have to make work for yourself, but I think it's really about everybody who's viewing it, and it really doesn't exist until somebody's like laying their eyes upon it. And being given space as an artist to show work is really important. You know, you have people like Dylan over here and a lot of other people in the community that give artists a platform. And I think that's what I came here to talk about today is York County giving artists opportunities. And I think it's a wonderful place to start a career. And I think the community, like moving to a place like New York and just seeing how, you know, everyone's kind of fending for themselves, and it's really beautiful to see places like this, and you kind of take it for granted when you have places that are so it's kind of one big family and everything's kind of knit together. And you have this, you know, I can walk in and see Joe and see Dylan and see Sarah and Lynn, and these are all people, you know, you see people who have helped you out in one way or another, which I'm, again, so grateful for. When I moved back here I believe it was about 2016, I moved here because I had this dream of being a basketball player, which definitely did not pan out. I went to Central and I thought they had this amazing team, and I thought if I'm in this environment, it'll push me to be better and maybe be able to get a college scholarship. But this is where I spent most of my time, sitting right on the bench, right there. And I loved basketball and I love sports, and it really played into my work, and kind of integrating hard work and motivation into like a craft of any kind is hard to kind of accomplish. Um, but yeah, so I realize, you have like this moment where you kind of you accept I have to move on from this, and I have to find out, what I'm actually going to do. And I was so blessed at this school, because we had there was 4 teachers there at Central, and they had an amazing art program. If anybody's ever went to Central here, but I mean, they were like college level professors. At the school I was going to before, they had maybe um, a couple grand to fund their art program, and it's something that's overlooked, especially under certain new, laws and things like that. But I think art should not be overlooked. And I think people, it needs, like anything else, it needs money, and Central had this amazing budget. And this is what allowed me to experiment with different materials and to show at different things. And they were doing cool events. And we were able to submit for, scholastic competitions and win gold keys and things like this. And it's so often overlooked, or mathematics is put above it, or science or something. But I think art is something that gives us life, and it's an important thing. Here is my first solo show that I did. I was talking about getting space earlier, and my friend Susan Schofield, she has a gallery in Royal Square District, and just having spaces like this, and real estate investors who provide spaces like this, and opportunities for artists. I was about 17, I think, and it was my first show where I took apart my basketball shoes, because they weren't doing anything for me on the court. And I made it's not in the shoes, it's not. Uh, so I took these apart, and I was making these self-portraits and just trying to find who I was as an artist. I'd been drawing for a long time, but I never thought that it's an interesting thing to say, to declare like I'm an artist and what I'm making is artwork. And this is the first time I felt like that, and it was my first solo show here in York. And I really believe York is a great place to start out. Here was the recycled art contest when I was, prepubescent apparently. But it was awesome. It's just these little accolades. You see athletes getting rewarded, you see scholars being rewarded, and I think things like this are really awesome. Is rewarding sustainability practices and different, and just allowing artists a platform to feel special and important. Here's when I won my gold key with my mother at the State Museum in Harrisburg. Another thing where it's kind of like Andy Warhol won this prize, and it's kind of reaffirming. I know awards are kind of like a surface level thing sometimes, but it really makes you feel like this is important to somebody. And so then I graduated high school. And I remember I was sitting on the bedroom floor, and like Ann had mentioned, I had gotten a full ride offer. I had gotten offers from Micah. There's one in Maine, Ringling in Florida. And my family really supported me in saying, I'm just going to go out and do this and not go to school. And I really just felt driven to kind of do things my way. And I started out, and I was very driven by the idea of celebrity, and I really thought, if I get this person to look at me, or if I get my art in this person's hands. And so here's a portrait of Will Smith, if you can recognize, and a rapper you probably don't know, A$AP Rocky. So I was kind of I actually had met A$AP Rocky, and it was kind of from coming from York, it's like when you meet a celebrity, it's insane, and you just think it's like this unworldly thing, but they're really just humans, just like us. Sorry. So I was so engrossed. I'd actually shown these at Creative York before when I was first starting out. Um, I although it didn't feel like I was telling my story necessarily, or too related to me. It was just this fascination with celebrity and kind of notoriety and being known for something or being successful. It's like a mark of success, you know. And it's when you're a young kid, you just want this like success, and you're really hungry for it, and you're like, and I'm chasing down celebrities. You know, I chased down, you know, ASAP Rocky or Drake. We did a piece for people, Polo G, Trippie Redd. Like, you'll probably have to Google them after, but to me at the time, they're very significant. I'm listening to their music and it feels like out of reach, you know, and you see them in person and you realize this is, this is very doable, or I'm on the same level as them. And it kind of, it boosts your self-worth a little bit. And so I kept this idea of the idolization of celebrities and kind of the commodification of celebrities and celebrity as a product. Will Smith is made here out of all deconstructed Jordans, which he wore on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I was really drawn to the idea of product placement and how this informs our identity and how it drives us to consume, you know. And we look at role models and we're driven to consume based on what they're consuming, and advertisements and things like this. So then I decided, you know, I want to get back into painting, and I kind of I was doing these athletes, and this is Kobe Bryant made out of the original Adidas Kobe's. But this is kind of I was like 20 years old, so it's like things kind of a kid would make, you know. And there's people buying it, and but they were kind of saying, oh, it's like man cave art or something, or I think like the wife wouldn't want it in the living room, you know. And I'm sure you can imagine. And so I'm like, I was kind of at first like, man, why not? Like I was feeling like as an artist, you want to be in the prominent place in the household. And I started really thinking about this, and like I said before, it's not about pleasing everybody, but you do want to think about the viewer. So I came across this idea, which was just a memory I had of a kid, and I was doing these nostalgia pieces, and I planned to only do one of these, and it was just a memory of like finding a Playboy as a child. And when I presented it, people would walk up, they would laugh. It was like humorous, and it was just like this kind of like joy they felt and excitement kind of. And then people started coming up and sharing their own stories with me. They'd be like, man, and they, you know, they kind of look around like, my grandpa had a car and you could lift down the seat in the back and he would have a stack back there, you know. And so it became this shared experience. And I was like, I had somebody say, can you make me one? And then another person, can you make me one? And you know, half of this collection is I spent probably 2 to 3 years on this, and half of the collection is owned by people in York. Joe Young himself, right back here, he's an owner of one of the pieces. And so it was awesome. It became really about this shared experience, but we're carrying over the idea of the celebrity, you know, and the commodification of celebrity. And it was all based around the interview. There was this joke that every man would say that I read Playboy for the interviews. And so I would base all the pieces are based around the interview of the Playboy, this one being Jerry Seinfeld. And he's actually, you see on the right, he's constructed out of Jordan Cardinal 7s, which he would wear on Seinfeld. And it's kind of the same idea as the other pieces, but now we're kind of zooming out and we're saying, how does this affect us in life? And then here's a piece, it's the Michael Caine issue, and he's an Italian job. So I use these Mini Cooper seats to do the cover model. And this one's Steve Jobs. I used the New Balances, and I kind of started getting into the ideas of shamefulness and the removal of shame. Kind of, it's like something Jeff Koons talks about too. He was in here a couple years ago. And so this is Joe's piece right here. This was actually like a masterpiece when I felt like that leaving my studio. You see like the Peanuts comic, and it's like an adult with children's material and a child with adult material, and then just like the reality of exposure in media and in the household, and kind of like protecting each other or accepting each other. And this was one I did for another couple in York. And just, I feel like this series, I feel like I matured as a person through this series, and I also matured my practice through this series. And you see from that first one to this one, just the practice elevate and grow. So this was like a really, the series is over now, but it was really important to me. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people in York embraced it. And we had shows at Creative York showing these grand pieces who were later bought by movie directors and like business owners in New York and people who run the New York Stock Exchange. And it was just really cool to see an idea grow here and be on that scale. And it's in a mansion in Boca Raton, of a movie producer of like I forget what movie, Jeepers Creepers, yeah, and Miss Puerto Rico is like kind of like sitting at dinner with you, like and looking at her new piece of art. Uh, yeah, really cool. This is my lawyer in New York. This one was for him because he loves Superman. He had supported me from the beginning. And then we got featured on Playboy.com, and we did a whole interview with Playboy and got recognized. So that was like awesome. It was just like a dream, kind of like a dream. Is just crazy to see that platform acknowledge you. And then I kind of during this whole time I was still working on other bodies of work, and sport was always uh, a part of what I was doing. And I went away from the celebrity and started focusing again on us and, you know, the like regular people or like average people, which is all of us. But this is a kid, one of my friends' sons, and I did this series where they're kind of doing Michael Jordan poses, and I called it Be Like Mike. And it's all made out of Jordans, and it's kind of about the idea of repetition and mimicking a celebrity and how influential they are. And then we got featured on Slam magazine, like Ann mentioned. This was really like a dream come true because if you looked at any basketball roster I ever played on, I was definitely the last one that they would have picked out of that lineup to make it on a publication like this. And it was really cool. This was like a moment to me where it was like I'm able to live out my dreams through this, even though it didn't work out the way I thought it would, or didn't get here the way I thought, you know. And then here's a piece we got to do for Mike Tyson, which was so awesome. It was right after his recent fight. It's made completely out of deconstructed boxing gloves. And the background is charcoal. I made it on raw canvas, which is the material of a boxing ring, and I made it a perfect square, kind of like the boxing ring. And I really wanted to kind of infuse the idea of the sport in this. And you have like the raw charcoal and the white charcoal, and then it's kind of loose and like improvisational, like a fight, but then the collage is kind of tight and disciplined, like the training for a fight. And I was taking boxing lessons leading up to doing this piece because I really wanted to feel like what just a little bit of what they're going through. And there we are. He also had a mansion in Boca Raton. That was really cool. And the wife said, she's like, so many people just do like fan art and things like that. But one of my collectors, I was blessed enough for them to present it to him as a gift. And they hung it right on the wall. And like we got to kind of spend time with them. And it was just like unbelievable. And then here is the introduction of car upholstery into my work. And I started thinking of what's a material outside sports and what's a material that we all have a nostalgic connection to, and what's kind of a marker of how we're doing in life, you know. And it's like I remember I can like smell like the old upholstery of like my grandpa's truck when I was a kid, and then you know sitting in like a really nice car of my collector of like a BMW or something. It's kind of this marker, and it's something we all partake in, riding in cars. And I started taking apart this upholstery and using it in the work. And this is an installation we did with Lynn outside Creative York. And they really allowed me to just go all in, and we staged the whole accident. And some, like people were calling the police on us and reporting accidents. But it was awesome because people just walking through the street are drawn in, and people who wouldn't usually think of art, they're kind of like it's also kind of playing on the fact that we're drawn to spectacle, we're drawn to disaster, you know. And so we staged like this whole outdoor exhibit. It was really awesome. And then here's an example of the car upholstery work. This was for a couple, some of you probably know them, the Siegelmans. They have a home out in Arizona. And we made this completely out of car upholstery. It was the first one that was 100%, and it was about 6 feet tall. And we kind of like adhered it to the wall, and it doesn't look very big there, but I'm standing, there's a picture of me standing on that ledge where my head comes up to like the middle of her face, and it was a massive piece. Okay, was that the end? Okay, yeah, I'll just leave it on that so you guys can look at that. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I don't know how I'm doing on time. I'm good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that was it. Does anybody have questions? I think somebody's walking around with a microphone. Thank you.
Thank you for a great presentation. I
Thank you.
love that you gave a shout out to your high school teachers. And I'm wondering, have you gone back to visit them? And what have you told them? And have you talked to high school students and what do you tell them?
Absolutely. Yeah. I go back every single year because I was like, and there's no knock on this, but I was literally I was just going to be a gym teacher. And I had a teacher, Andy Walker, Andy Wirtz, Jim Grandy. I know this is being recorded, and Jim Howard. Those are the 4 teachers. And those people were, that's a thankless job sometimes. And I try to make sure I go in there and tell them about my journey and thank them tremendously, because I truly don't think that I would have been able to, at least at the rate that I have done this, do it without them. And yeah, I speak to the students too. A lot of times they'll kind of just be on their phone. But I just did a lecture at one of the top art schools in the world. It's called MICA. It's in Baltimore. That was like so awesome. But yeah, so some of them are kind of, just on their phones and stuff. But any other questions?
Yes, thank you so much. This was really fascinating. Can
Sorry,
you
I
talk?
can't find you right now.
Oh, I'm back here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the process with these materials? As you were flashing these pieces on the screen, they're just remarkable. And I find myself trying to figure out how did you take apart boxing gloves and come up with something that realistic, or a sneaker? Can you talk about the technical side of this a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think the mosaic aspect of it is literally, like I said, mosaic. Like I went to a school here called St. Pat's when I was a kid, up until like 3rd grade, and my family always had me in the church. And when I was a kid, this was my first introduction to art, and it's really the only art that I saw as a kid. And you're looking at these stained glass windows all the time and mosaics and things, and I think this definitely influenced the way that I put materials together. And I was definitely observing those very intensely, and because it was like the most interesting thing going on in there sometimes. So, uh, so, uh, but yeah, taking them apart, I think, is also kind of an act of art. Sometimes I'll get a pair of shoes that I used to, I would kill for those, and they're like $3,000, and I'll just like, take them right apart. And it's kind of like this, there's a freedom to it, and it's an act in itself of art.
What's the piece that you've spent the longest time on? What's the average time that you spend on creating a piece, and what's the longest time?
I think probably a little over a month, and I believe it was this piece. It's tied between this one and the largest one in the Playboy series. Yeah, also sometimes we'll be filming in between, like we'll be filming the completion of them, and that can kind of extend the process a little bit. But usually the longest a piece will take is kind of like 2 months. Usually we're sitting around about a month to get the piece worked out.
So I have a question here.
Mhm.
So having that family support is awesome.
Yeah.
Because family will say, no, get a real job.
How you're
But in addition to that, and then having those great teachers, did you have a lot when it came to the professional development side, for the career piece of it? So did you know, where do I take it from here?
Honestly, that was one place where I felt like I was lacking. I kind of go back. I remember I went back to my high school teacher one time to ask him about something, and he said, "Dude, like I'm sorry, but I like have nothing left to teach you." He's like, you've surpassed what I'm capable of," and I was like, "That's crazy," you know. But yeah, I mean, just people like you and people like other people in the community bouncing like project ideas off of, and like when we did that show downtown and just collaborating. Rob Evans, you know, Rob Evans has been like yeah, I kind of forget now that I think about it. Yeah, there was a lot of people around here. Rob, I'm actually I just started a studio on his farm out in Wrightsville, because I'm making these new kind of bigger conceptual works. And also Matthew Clay Robinson at York College is probably the most influential like art worker in this city, and like he brought, I mean, people don't even know, he brought Hank Willis Thomas here. He had, I mean, like, people don't even realize what he's done for the community. I mean, those exhibitions at York College are just top tier. And for no knock on York College, but it's not, you know, like a major city. We're not in a major city. It's York College, and he's bringing in, you know, artists who are in the Whitney and in the MoMA. And that was probably one of the most influential things too.
Justin, we're so thrilled to have you
Hey,
here
how you doing?
today. And you are part of an amazing arts community that we have here in York. And you've mentioned a lot of those artists. I don't know if you know it, but years ago we had Jeff Koons as a speaker here at Rotary. So you
Yeah,
get
wow,
to
please.
join that great club. If you had to choose some artists from our own community, or maybe some others, maybe internationally, are there any who particularly inspire you?
Like was the question in the community or outside the community? Either.
I'd be curious who inspires you.
I mean, you just named one, Jeff Koons. I mean, I think I kind of got sick of it after a while, because they'll be, "Oh, you could be the next Jeff Koons," you know, and people would just say this all the time, and I kind of started to like resent him a little. But then actually Jeff Koons attended my first exhibition in New York City. And he took me out to lunch and took me to his studio. And he's like, you know, yeah, this is where, walking through Soho. And he's like, this is where Andy Warhol's studio was. And this is where Basquiat used to live. And he's just telling me these amazing stories. And it's just larger than life. You just can't even believe it's happening, especially at that point in my life. But particularly artists that inspire me with their work. Definitely Jeff, but John Chamberlain, Wayne Thiebaud, Robert Rauschenberg, Richard Diebenkorn, definitely. I mean, Rob Evans is he's inspiring alone, just composition, color, and just mastery of a medium. I think yeah, I think those are definitely people who inspire my practice. Cool. Oh, one more. Hold on.
I'm curious, and particularly on the one that's still up on the screen. I mean, if you're dealing with three-dimensional fragments to come up with it, how deep is that rendering? How far out from the wall does it come? It
actually
looked very three-dimensional there, but really it's just that much. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually not that. It's a little bit reminiscent of a relief. Some of my earlier work would kind of protrude more, but I really leaned into the mosaic style of things. I used to kind of build it up and layer it up, but I've really leaned into the mosaic aspect of things. So most of them do sit for the most part pretty flat.
You mentioned you're on the Playboy website, I think.
Yeah.
We should go there for the interview.
For the interview. Why else would you go there?
And you chose not to go to college after high school. With your experience now, is that something that you recommend or don't recommend or don't take a position on with respect to the students that you're speaking to?
Yeah, it depends what kind of work you want to do. There's as I go in, it's a lot more free nowadays with the internet. I mean, you used to go for the connections and things, but me running around for 4 years in New York City, I think was just as effective. And it's hard for me to like be told what to do sometimes, but so that's why school kind of was like, oh, God, but I just did 12 years of this shit. But I think it's up to the person. I think school, sometimes I'm sitting there and I'm doing research, and just like, I was just reading about Robert Rauschenberg for like 3 days straight. And I was like, it might have been nice to take some courses, and I still consider taking some courses. I might do that when if my practice ever slows down a little, hopefully not, but I don't think it's necessary. I think it would be nice. It's a nice luxury. I don't think it's necessary. I think it really depends on the individual. And also there's different types of art. There's, more commercial art, there's abstract art, there's conceptual art, which I'm right now getting into conceptual art and kind of leaning into that, like Ready Made and Jeff Koons and Robert Rauschenberg type body of work. And that I do wish I had some information, or maybe like a year of college, but honestly, with like Google and YouTube and books, like I read a lot. So really reading is, I feel like aside from the instruction, I feel like college is also just read this book and read this book, and then we discuss it. And so if you can find people who have the same interests, and kind of build a community of where you can discuss the literature and discuss exhibitions and things, I think this can be as equally effective. Hold on. Are we one more? Okay, sorry.
I got one more
I
for you.
can't take
This is an easy one. Do you have any upcoming shows or exhibitions where we might be able to check out your work, or do you have anything on display anywhere?
Right now, I actually decided I had just done, we did, I think it was like Los Angeles, London, York, Miami, New York, Miami. And so I was very exhausted. All my work is sold out. So I don't have anything on the books right now. I'm really waiting for the right gallery. I'm seeking gallery representation in New York City, which we've had some offers, but none of them have really really struck me yet. But I'm not really pressed for that. I'm in like a really happy space with where my work is at, and I'm really focusing on the work right now and getting enough work to even show right now, because I have 0 pieces available, so which is amazing. But now it's like I have I have a lot of work ahead of me. So thank you.
Thank you, Justin, for sharing your remarkable journey and showing us how creativity can flourish right here in York. We're proud to have artists like you representing our community, inspiring the next generation. And especially thank you for introducing us to the rapper A$AP Baraki. Did I say that right? Rotarians, how about another round of applause for our speaker today? As you all know, instead of giving the speakers a gift, we purchase a book and we ask them to sign the book plate, and we donate it locally. This week's book will be donated to the York Academy Regional Charter School in York City, along with the bookmark made by the students at Creative York. Next week will be our annual changing of the guard as we wrap up our Rotary year. I will take some time to reflect on my year as president, and we will install new officers and directors for the 2025-2026 year. Then we will install Wilda Rimalesi as our president for 2025-2026 and hear from her vision for her presidency. So if you loved having me as your president, please come and hear my remarks. Or if you hated having me as your president, please come and hear Wilda's new plans for when she takes over. This meeting is now adjourned.